find something that you can finish. Find something that you can finish.
That's good.
I don't care if it's nothing but if it's one of those master classes that they, the Franklins do that pops up on my Instagram. He teaching you how to make a brisket. He's got like 3 modules to teach you how to, but find something that you can finish.
Yeah.
It might be your degree. It might be your degree. It may be a photography, but when you stack those little victories,
that's good.
It builds in you and an endurance.
Paper Room, welcome back.
We back.
Episode 46.
It's been like a whole
47.
year.
It's been 35. Man, it's been a minute.
A little while. A little longer than a minute.
Yeah, last time we recorded, it was like in May.
I don't even
Really?
remember.
I think something like that. So it's been several months. It's been a good time. But welcome back, you guys. So glad to finally
So glad to be back.
be here.
What
We
has
had
gone on in
an entire
all
summer. So let's do this. Highlights of the summer.
I wasn't ready.
Made what's today? September
crazy.
something? Oh, September
Do
11th.
Yeah.
you remember?
Amen. Best thing that you experience over the summer. Oh, really quick before we continue, Isha is a representative of BT students,
Yeah.
and I want to give a quick shout out that over the summer BT students
That's
dropped
probably
the
the
pod
best thing. There you go. Thank
day
you for that.
to day
Shameless
podcast.
plug.
That's the best thing.
Day to day.
The day to day.
How was that? Like that whole project? That seemed like a blast.
That was like, it felt like we were just given like a project, like from Colin,
Mhm.
like,
Pastor Colin,
hey,
shout out.
think about this. Time to start brainstorming. And then it just happened. Like we
Love
we
it.
sat down, we did it, and then it was like executed. So it was really just a matter of like, let's sit down and make this happen.
How many episodes did you guys record?
18?
Wow.
That's the give us like a
That's crazy.
1 minute commercial for day to day. What is it about?
Wow. Day to Day Podcast is a podcast centered around Jesus for 7th to 12th grade students,
That's dope.
helping students grow with Jesus in their day to day lives.
So they can
Dude.
listen to it while they
When
watch
I heard the
dishes.
name, I was like, dang, that's pretty fire.
That was
I'm not
Joey and
gonna lie.
Devin. That was so good.
Yeah. Shout
And-
out Joey, Joe, Devin.
we got paper.
And what? Paper Room.
It's cool.
Paper Room.
Day
is
to
unique.
day is a way better name than paper. I love Paper Room because it was fresh. But remember how we were agonizing the name for this podcast?
for a long time, yeah.
And then Danny's
prayer.
just like, Paper
That's
Room.
crazy.
We never actually said out loud why we're called
We
the Paper
never
Room.
did. Don't
in
do
this
it yet.
podcast.
Don't tell nobody.
I feel like I have to right now. You
No,
brought it
don't
up.
tell
no,
nobody.
no.
All right, bet. Well, welcome. My name is Danny, alongside Pastor Nick and
Good day.
Isha. Excited to be back. Episode 46, everybody.
Wow.
What about for you? Just a highlight of the summertime.
Highlight of the summer, my wife and I, we celebrated
Hey.
19 years of
Woo,
marriage.
19.
And the other highlight, we went on our vacation, and so
Where'd you guys go?
we went on a cruise, so it was
Nice.
fun. But whenever we
Shout out
travel
cruise.
for our
Just kidding.
anniversary, and we spent the day at Disney. My wife likes to wear matching shirts, so it'll say like the year.
Y'all wear matching shirts to Disney World?
Not to Disney World,
Oh,
but when we started our cruise, we had
Oh, that's
matching
cool.
shirts. So Nikki does that every year. We go off for our anniversary, and everybody was like, "Y'all look too young to be." Like this." And I was like, "Oh, that's a major
Yeah.
flex."
that's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Praise the Lord.
That's good.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I actually had an episode like that recently. I had a birthday this summer, a couple of weeks ago.
Congrats.
I turned 24. Just kidding.
No.
Flip
Uh,
No, I'm just
No.
I turned 35. Ooh.
Good night.
Nice.
I know. But I was hanging out with one of our young adults, and he has a new roommate, and they were giving me a ride to my house. We're hanging out at UTRGV doing like an event. And so getting to know this guy, he's a new baseball player on the team. And as they're dropping me off, he's like, "Bro, so you live here like by yourself or something?"
Oh my
And I
gosh.
was like, "No, man, my wife and son."
I'm married.
He was like, "What? How old are you?" I was like, "No, I can't say that. Keep that quiet."
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had a good summer. I spoke at 3 youth camps.
That's crazy.
That was wild. 2 of them were back to back, so
Dang.
was away for a long time. But that was a blast. Got to do some really cool stuff in the life
Yeah.
of teenagers. We had Move Conference.
Move Conference,
yeah.
the
That was insane.
conference for young adults, the premier
Dude.
conference for young adults. No, it was.
That was year
beautiful
number
thing.
4.
I can't believe that.
It was crazy. So we gotta go crazy for year number 5.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
I enjoyed moving.
But it was a blast. But let me remind us why we do what we do with the paper room. Young adults are in a crazy season of life. They're trying to figure out a lot of major life decisions. And our hope during this time is just to help you guys along the way. So we try to get really practical with these episodes. If you guys have episode ideas, things that you would love for us to talk about, they maybe just want to hear from us. We're not experts, but we're trying to follow Jesus faithfully and trying to help you follow Jesus faithfully as well. So just sharing some life lessons from our journey and just thoughts that we might have based on these topics is what we're here to do. And so I'm excited for today's topic. But before we get into that, we're going to play a little quick interactive segment, game.
Nice.
I feel like we need like a little jingle for that, like interactive game, like do-do-do-do-do. I don't know.
We'll get somebody.
We'll get something. Ruben. And so
Megan.
we'll figure that out. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a stereotype draft. Okay. So one, it is the fall, and it's one of my favorite seasons ever because on Thursday, on Saturday, on Friday, on Monday is what? Football.
That's true.
Who's going to Super Bowl?
Chicken.
Hen.
So let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite things, I'm not gearing this to you because I know
Of course,
this does not apply to
I
you.
understand.
Um,
I'm gonna just tune out.
Sorry, Isha.
how many fantasy football leagues are you in?
Only one.
Elevator
Oh,
music.
The
wow.
garbage league.
It's the best thing ever.
And
yeah.
yeah,
So you're just in one. That's cool.
I'm just in one. I wanted to do the one with staff, but I think I missed it.
Yeah, Pastor Joaquin started one.
Yeah, because I wasn't in it.
It's a fun one. Yeah. Yeah, I think I went a little overboard. I'm in 6.
That might be a little issue.
I'm in 6.
Now, so the thing about Danny, I don't think y'all like. He takes this thing serious. Like he has a fantasy draft war room in his iPad.
Oh yeah.
So it's pretty serious.
I gotta win. Yeah, and so we, at the time of this recording, we just finished week 1 of the fantasy football season, and I went 5 for 6. Not to brag, but if anybody out there needs fantasy football help, let me know. I got mad tips, right?
Well, no, my kicker came through for me. He scored 26 points.
That's a lot. I'll take him.
Yeah.
But in fantasy football, what you do is you draft, right? You draft players. They're on your team. You play week to week. It's a fun time.
Elevator music is playing in my head right now.
So what we're gonna do is we're going to draft.
Thank you for holding.
Okay.
And the topic of this draft. So the way it works, we're gonna throw out items related to this topic. If one of us says something, then we cannot use the thing that was said, right?
Okay.
And we're gonna just choose our top 3 things. And the main overall topic is stereotypes of the Valley.
Okay.
Nice.
We
The
live in the Rio Grande
956.
Valley, in case someone's listening from up north or a different state. I don't know.
Yeah.
But stereotypes of the Valley. We're gonna pick our top 3. One thing I didn't think about is who's gonna go first. Ooh.
Oh, dang.
You should go first.
No, it's not fair. I have an idea.
I'm a female.
It'll be weird. What if we played rock, paper, scissors? Odd man out goes first,
Okay.
and then we go clockwise.
All right.
Right. So like rock, paper, scissors. If 2 people have rock, 1 person has paper.
You're
You're the odd man. It doesn't matter like what beats what. It's just the
Yeah.
odd man.
Okay.
Right? It's
It's
rock.
a lot of rules this episode. God,
Yeah.
This is like a lot.
That's our first one back. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay.
Okay. Ready?
Okay.
Ready?
Rock,
Paper, scissors, shoot. Odd man out. Oh, I go first.
Oh my
All right.
god.
And we beat you.
I know. Yeah. That's just how it works. You know what I'm saying? So stereotypes of the Valley. All right.
All right.
I'm gonna start. So and we're gonna have a judge to judge who has the
You
best
gonna
team.
do your 3 or you going 1-1-1?
No, 1-1-1-1. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I can't take all 3 on the first try.
That's
so,
crazy.
So 1-1-1-1. I'm gonna go with cut.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even think of
That's
that.
my top 1.
Spell that for the people.
Spell that for the
CUH.
people. Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Live in the Valley. Cut.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my top.
Okay. Here's my stereotype. Puro 956. I had to roll the R.
Oh
a little bit.
my gosh. Okay.
I had to roll the R. a
That was
little
pretty
bit.
good.
Yeah.
Mine feel pretty stale now. Mine are like
He's
so
just like-
basic.
She's like
Okay.
the park.
Don't be ashamed to lean all the way into your full valleyness.
I'm gonna do that. All right. So I have high schoolers dancing at hillbillies.
Wow.
Oh, that sounds illegal.
I never went. Okay.
Teen night at Hillbillies is your number 1
At
pick.
Hills?
Wow.
Pretty
All
accurate.
right, don't shut down an establishment, please.
That wasn't even on my list. But hey,
Wow.
sleeper pick. My second one is no. Sorry. Sorry. I'm gonna go with, and I'll explain why. Botanas.
Oh,
Okay.
Because
That's specific.
I learned somewhat recently that a botana is like specific to the valley.
That's true.
How
Like
we do it.
Fafurias, Alice,
That's
Corpus,
true.
no one else has this. Like you can't go to a Mexican restaurant and order botana. They're like,
Yeah.
what is that?
Mhm.
And so botanas, specifically at Coco's if possible.
Yes.
Mhm.
Incredible.
Here's mine. Raspas.
Ah, that was on my
Oh,
list.
Dang, that wasn't on my list.
I was gonna say that one.
And I get it with the little
Pickles.
I don't do the pickles.
Oh, you got to, bro.
But
Piccadilly.
I like the condensed milk with mine.
Oh,
That's
it's
delicious.
weird.
The
but
tiger's
you-
blood.
You do you.
Okay.
These guys.
Ben and Megan and Ruben are in our sound room as we're recording this, and we can just hear them laughing. Hopefully
I'm
at
gonna
this.
go with elote.
That was on my list.
Ah.
That was a good one. Elote, love it. Ooh, I think I'm gonna win this. We're on a third, right?
Yeah,
This
this
is-
is your third.
So I
Yeah.
did I did botana.
Yeah.
My last one is South Padre Island.
Okay. Okay.
That's Valley,
Okay.
right? South Padre Island. When you say South Texas,
Yeah.
one, people think Houston or San Antonio,
And it ain't.
but they were like, no, like the Valley, South Texas.
Yeah.
Their automatic thought for that is, oh, like South
Yeah.
Padre.
Yeah.
Boom.
All right. I'm gonna do one. The checkpoint.
Dang, that's a
Ain't
good
no way, bro.
one.
That's crazy.
Hey, it is. This is what it is.
That's
That's
a Valley
crazy.
stereotype. I like it. Yeah,
So we got to go through a checkpoint to go anywhere else
Mhm.
in this country.
we do.
That's true.
It's a little wild. It
You
feels
drive
like
Crazy.
about 45 minutes.
45. You said about 40.
About 45 minutes.
It's a little
Gets to the
dystopian,
checkpoint.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna be specific here. Valley time.
Okay.
People showing up late, but also partying till like 3 a.m.
That's such a huge
Okay,
stereotype. That's a
that
good one.
is.
Even for young adults, we say, "Hey, 7:00 start time." We start like at 7:18 because
Yeah.
when I look outside, I just see people in the parking lot walking
Wow.
barely.
So I
Barely.
have a friend. His
That's
church
going.
is he has campuses in Michigan, and one of his campuses is on the campus of Michigan State University. So
Mhm.
they advertise their service times as 9-ish.
That's crazy.
We need to do that, bro. 9ish and 11ish at BT because we have our 11:30 a.m. service. Is what
Yeah.
we like to say, bro.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Pull up. Valley time is a good one, man.
That
I
is
didn't
a
think
good
about
one.
that one.
Yeah.
All right, so I have Ben and Megan listening as we're recording this, and so I need y'all to text me who won the Valley stereotype draft. Ben said do one more round. Nah, I ain't doing that.
Nah.
Give me a winner.
Because
Hurry
they
up.
know Isha ain't leaning in all the way into her valleyness.
Actually, Ben might he might not be the right person to judge because he is married to someone on this podcast. I won't say who. Just kidding.
Nah.
Yeah. So one of y'all text me who
He keep
won
it real. Ben keep
draft.
it real.
All right, here we go.
We hear them cackling in the back.
Once they text me, I'll say who won.
Okay.
But that was great. I thought that was fun. Good job,
Yeah,
guys.
that was very fun.
And so what's going on over there? So here's what we're doing. The reason why I brought up stereotypes is because a stereotype of like the Gen Z culture
Come on, segue.
is that Gen Zs can't commit to stuff.
Dang.
We're not saying like this
Sorry.
is like this about you, right? I'm not like it's not like that's something we believe in about you,
Mhm.
but that's just like a stereotype you hear that
Yeah.
sometimes Gen Z they can't really fully commit to something.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, stat guy, here we go again. I miss doing this,
Stat guy.
but I will bring this up because I thought this is pretty interesting. Let me ask this. In college for y'all two, did y'all ever change your major? If so, how many times?
Once.
Just one time? Cool.
I changed my major one time. I started off as a business major and changed to a psychology major.
And that's where you got your degree in psychology? Oh, nice. I didn't know that. So like your master's was like the first time you went to like Bible school, like
Yep.
seminary. Oh, nice. That's awesome. So college students change their major at least 3 times.
That's wild.
Yeah. That was me. I went from mechanical engineering to kinesiology to biblical theology.
Wow.
Wild journey
Nice.
in a span of 2 years or so. 80% of college students change their major at least once. So
And
like that
Yeah,
that fits
and I
this
get
room.
that because
100%.
when you don't know what you want to do.
Nah, yeah, and that's
That's
why like
fine.
I always get like there's some like sophomores in high school like they know exactly what they want to do. I'm like,
That's
dude,
crazy. Yeah.
when I was a senior, I didn't even know what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
Yeah. But don't
I
feel
get it.
pressure to feel
yeah.
that. Average person will change their career 5 to 7 times.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah,
somewhere
that is-
too.
That's wild. 30% of people change their job every 12 months.
That's wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So not keeping a job for or like a year.
But what,
Mhm.
I always want to know what type of jobs are those.
For sure. Yeah.
Those-
Because you're
those-
probably including like non-career like jobs.
Yeah,
you know,
that was what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
restaurants.
You know, if
Yeah.
you seasonal at Foot Locker during the Christmas rush, I get it.
I think it's called JD now. Is Foot Locker still a thing?
What?
It ain't Foot Locker gone?
The one at the mall is called
About
JD
Lady
now.
Foot
And I've seen
Locker.
JD more often. That's where I got these shoes, actually.
Wow.
That's crazy. Shout out JD. We won't even get into the stats of dating and relationships, of how long relationships last. I don't want this to be a dating podcast.
I'm with you.
But you just see that.
How many times do young adults leave churches?
Oh man,
Mm.
pure research.
When they go.
Yeah. Well, and not even. I mean, yeah, you can look at that like leaving churches, but like fully committing to one, right? Because it's like you can leave a church that you haven't really fully committed. But I would like
That's
to know
true.
that, like, all right, I fully committed, but now I'm out, type of thing.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
I saw
right?
one person one time, they were like, I like this church for the music. I like this church for the preaching. I go to this church for the
Yeah.
community.
And one
Yeah.
thing I do say when it comes to young adults is one thing I love about young adults is like the kingdom mindedness of
yeah.
sure.
especially in the valley,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen that so much. It's not a valley thing. I've kind of brought that up to some of my young adult friends who do like ministry in other parts of the country, and they see the same thing.
Yeah.
Is young adults are very collaborative, very kingdom minded.
That's beautiful.
But then I think on the flip side of that is it's a lack of commitment to a local church. And so overall, we want to talk about this theme of like why is commitment to something important, right? Because we know that's Bible, right? I know you brought up that verse. I don't know if you want to read it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
It's Matthew. I don't know why I'm reading crooked. Matthew chapter 5, verse 37. But let your yes mean yes and your no mean no. Anything more than this is from the evil one.
So let your yes mean yes and no mean no. And I think that's a really important aspect of like our biblical character.
What about when you say yes to a whole bunch of stuff like a lot of people do?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So there's the reality of overcommitting,
Yeah.
which then I think in turn leads to lack of commitment, right? And so I want to just kind of talk about that reality of commitment, what that looks like, of understanding what it is, why it's fearful to commit to certain things. Because you'd be like talking to a young adult, like, hey, like, let's go do this. And then you kind of get an answer that's something like, yeah, definitely, bro, I might be there. And so it's like, is it definitely or am I?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
which one?
Oh yeah, probably see you there.
Yeah, definitely might probably see you there. So you're like, okay, so like, am I gonna see you?
Or
there?
you know what else is a valley thing?
What's not? Yeah, go ahead.
When people be like, yeah, right, I'll go right now.
Oh yeah. Well, she said value time, bro.
I'm
Right
like,
now
you
can
know
mean
you
in
ain't about to go right
Yeah.
now.
In
3 hours.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll be there in a bit.
I already left my house. So what do you think is the result of a lack of commitment in our culture? Is it like a FOMO type of thing, or even the idea of like a fear of a better option, right? Maybe not a fear of missing out. Like, what do y'all think is the foundation to something like that? To a lack of commitment to something.
I think a lot of it is fear. A lot of it is fear of choosing something good and missing out on something great, even though you don't know what that great thing is. It's just a potential idea in your head, or it's a fear of failing, of like putting yourself in there, fully committing, and then if you mess up or something goes wrong, it's just like that fear of like, well, then I'm gonna have to back out and start all over again, and it's just a lot of fear there. But then I also think maybe a portion of it is impulsivity. Like, as soon as something comes up, in theory, we want to be there. In theory, I want to do everything. In theory, I want to say yes to what you're offering, but there's no time in that decision to think about availability or the mental load it's going to take or the emotional capacity that you have to do that thing. So I think
Yeah, I think in scripture that's like count the cost, right? Like,
yeah.
like when you choose to
good.
follow Jesus,
Yeah.
like count the cost of what you're committing to.
Yeah.
When it comes to following Jesus, that's good.
I believe also the access to options.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
That's the thing. I
Mm.
mean, that's one of the major things, and it's not so much a bad thing to have options, but how many of us we'll be scrolling on that and be like, man, ain't nothing to watch.
None.
It's 50, 11 shows on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think with Gen Z, there's so many options, and you're aware of so many options. In times past, you know what?
You saw what the TV wanted you to see.
You saw what they wanted you to see.
Vanilla, chocolate, or strawberry.
Right. And if you wanted variety, it was the little Neapolitan, the little square.
Yeah,
Do y'all remember
there
the
you go.
square?
Yeah.
And it had that, So we have this access to so many options that it creates, I think, the impulsivity to always choose something different rather than digging in deep and saying, nah, I'm a lock in right here.
Yeah, that's I was gonna lean into that because I think it's funny because a lot of times it's not every time, but a lot of times it's like the older generation like looking down on the younger generation because they live in this sort of way of lack of commitment or whatever. It's like, oh, back in my day, like we did this forever. And so like my kind of argument to that was like part of the reason why I think Gen Z culture is like this is to the fault of the older generation. Because the lifestyle that they sacrificed paved the way for this life of multiple options, right? And so they grinded so that the now generation, so my parents grinded in such a way where like my mom and dad, like they were the same company for 50 million years, right?
Yeah.
And so and that's just the way they worked, but they did that so that I can now think and dream and figure out like what do you want to do, go try new things, whatever. And so I'm kind of like, well, it's like kind of y'all's fault that I feel this way, or that Gen Z might feel this way of having a lifestyle full of options.
And in a lot of ways, what I think is important to understand is since you talked about the previous generation, is to understand in certain ways you reap the benefits from that, but in other ways you're going to have to put in your time in your generation. So what I mean, now I hear all these young people talking about, oh, I want to travel, I want to see the world and stuff, and they see other people doing that, or maybe even their parents doing that. But your parents are able to do that now after committing for 15 years at a job or whatever the case may be. That kind of stuff doesn't happen overnight, but because we see it and experience it, it's like, I want that benefit now. I want tomorrow right now.
Yeah.
I saw a meme one time that it was like a text, not really a meme, but just like a mindset. We've always approached retirement as an age, right? 65. And somebody said like retirement's not an age, retirement's like a number, like a money number. Like when you get to this amount of money, then you can retire. Not to this specific age. And so like people want to retire earlier because they want to experience life and do those things sooner. Because you have the fear of missing out, and it's part of that is the social media culture, kind of all those sort of things of seeing what people are doing, and you want to experience that yourself. But why diving a little bit into more of the fear aspect? Like, why do you think that fear exists of the FOMO, of a fear of making a decision towards something, whether it's like a degree plan to go after, a career to go after, a person to date, right? Why do we think that fear exists of just making a choice?
Being decisive. If you approach it with fear, it constrains you. It puts a boundary on your time, on your your energy, your bandwidth, your capacity. Like when you choose to commit to something somewhere, you give up when you commit to a people. You give up some measure of control. Tim Keller talks about this.
Wow.
When he talks about one of the reasons why people don't commit to community, and I think that's the thing. We have a generation that's been told, hey, you can be whatever you want to be, you can do whatever you want, you make your world, you decide, you change your life, and so when you committing to something, it's gonna put some guardrails or borders, boundaries around your life that I want to be over here, I want to be over here. But we're not God, we're not omnipresent,
right?
You're not all knowing. You're gonna get tired, and
Good.
I think people don't want to feel stuck.
That's good.
Like I see this when conversations come up with relationships too, like well, I'm just not sure if like this is like the person, or I'm just not sure. So I'm going to like sit and think about it for a long time. Cause what if there is somebody else? Like what if there, and then this comes like, it makes sense with jobs, really anything. Like if you choose it, there's this like, well, then I'm going to be stuck.
Yeah.
And it's probably because we've seen our parents that were at the same job for like 70 years. Feeling like, well, they were stuck because they had to work really hard to provide for us, and so they didn't get to chase their dreams. They were just kind of locked down in a job. So we don't want that for ourselves.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what you're saying. Like we want to be able to have the freedom to hop around and do whatever our heart so desires in that day.
Right.
That's good. I'd love to get into this because we, our primary audience that we're talking to is people who they believe in Jesus and are following Jesus. And so I think for a lot of us too, we have like non-Christian friends that we interact with, coworkers, friends that are part of our friend group, things like that. What kind of impact do you think it has to a non-Christian who's maybe viewing a Christian who lives their life in such a way of a lack of commitment to something? Like, do you think that affects, because, as a Christ follower, we're the salt and light of the world, we're displaying Jesus to the world around us. Non-Christians, they may never step foot into a church, but they're going to see a believer. But then they look at how a believer responds to certain situations. Do you think there's any sort of impact, if so what, that a lack of commitment lifestyle might have to a non-believer?
Man, that's a good question. Because, I don't know. I do think if a non-believer sees a committed Christian in an area of life, it will provide more of an opportunity for that non-believer to ask about the hope that this Christian has.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you
like, why are you sticking it out?
Right.
Yeah.
Why did you
How are you so sure?
Yeah, how are you so sure? How are you so confident? Like why did you stay home for college, or why did you choose to go away for college? You don't know, and you stick it out.
Right.
You don't just uproot when it get. I think it could provide an opportunity for somebody to ask for the hope that is in you.
Yeah, and just to clarify, like I think we mean like to stick it out to something. It's in the sense of like hopefully something sinful is not taking place, or abuse is not taking place. Like obviously that, just to throw it out there, but like sticking it out into maybe a scenario where it's like you stepped into something and it wasn't really quite what you thought it was going to be, but and it's a couple of weeks have gone by, you're like, man, did I make the right decision, right? And there's fear in that because maybe you're not seeing the fruit yet, so you just want to go ahead and bail. And one thing I've always loved is I feel like when we step into our calling, we feel like life is going to be perfect. But when you look at the Apostle Paul as he goes on his journey throughout the book of Acts, he's walking in the Spirit, stepping into the calling that God had for him, committing to those cities, those villages, those places. And so many times it was met with opposition.
Yeah.
Right. And we feel, I think in our culture, especially like in cultural Christianity, is when opposition comes up,
it's not the right thing.
That man, maybe God didn't call me to this. But it's like when I read Paul, I'm always like, opposition might be more like affirmation that you're doing the thing that God wants you to do.
Yeah.
But oftentimes we treat it as like, this is not it.
I taught a lesson one time, a long time ago, and I called it necessary negativity. And I don't, I believe in positive thinking. I believe in all, but for certain energy, you need positive and negative. Certain negativity in life is necessary, and what I mean by that is, like you're saying, certain levels of resistance is necessary. Certain amounts of opposition is necessary.
Yeah.
If you are a committed Christian, just if you are a committed Christian, and let's say you're committed to your faith, but you're also in a career that's really dog eat dog, or whatever the case may be, you are going to face opposition because you are going to have to not be like the world,
right?
Be in the world, not of the world. And the fact that you are committed to your faith more than you are committed to your career advancement, guess what? That's going to be some turbulence and static, and that's necessary if you're actually committed to being a Christian.
That's good.
I think if I were that non-believer looking at somebody that has a pattern of not being able to commit or make decisions, in a timely manner, I would think, why are you not trusting the God that you believe
Right.
in? Like, that would be
Wow.
if I were to put myself in those shoes, like, I would be thinking of that person, like, why are you so anxious about this? Why are you so full
Mm.
of fear? If you tell me all the time to not fear and to
Wow.
trust God and all these things, like,
That's good.
that's crazy that you won't even like do
Yeah.
that in your own life. And I think on the Christian side, there's I think we mix up and we confuse being like totally confused about a decision. We mix that up with having the clarity that we need. And I mean that to mean like you may not have all the clarity you want about a decision, but if
Right.
you have the clarity you need to go and move forward with
Yeah.
it, knowing like literally all I know is that God told me to go and do it
Yeah, that's good.
and he's going to be with me,
Yeah.
then that's it. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're not going to have confusion.
No,
Because
yeah.
Moses, when he was called, all he had was the clarity that he had to go and he could take his brother and that God was going to be with him.
Mhm.
That's it. He didn't have the clarity that Pharaoh was going to respond a certain way or how God was going to show his power or how the people were actually going to react to him
Yeah.
freeing them. Like, he didn't have the clarity about any of that. And
Yeah.
it was like,
I-
we
it-
have to be confused a little bit.
we say this all the
sometimes.
time, but I think it's true when you look at scripture. God always gives us enough so that we can commit to the next step.
Right. That's literally what the word of God does. It's Psalm 119. Your word is a lamp to my feet, a light to my path.
Yeah.
Like you see, like God's word is not going to show you the end. It's going to show you the next step to take, right?
Yeah.
But then what you said too reminded me Hebrews chapter 11 verse 8. By faith, Abraham, when he was called, obeyed, set out for a place that he was going to receive as inheritance. He went out, even though he did not know where he was going.
Yeah.
Right. And so like what you said, like we want the clarity, and when we don't have it, it brings confusion. And when I read that, it's like we want the details, and God just wants to give us direction.
Yeah.
Like, go in this direction. And something I've been like reflecting on a lot. It's a phrase that we use at BT all the time. God has big plans for you. We focus on the plans. But it's like, I think God maybe wants us to walk on the path before we even think about the plans, because it's walking on the path that's going to get us to those plans.
Yeah. The most important word in that phrase is God.
100%. And we made it the plans.
Yeah,
right?
we make it the big plans, but a big God has big plans. And so what I would say is when we think about commitment, maybe one of the things that would help us be more committed is if we resolve in our hearts, no matter what age you are, but especially young adults at this time, be more committed to agreeing with God, submitting to God, walking with God. If you start with that commitment, I promise you, life is not going to be perfect, but life will be fruitful. If you make that commitment to walk with God, agree with God, submit to God. If you make that commitment, life ain't going to be perfect. It will be. I'm a living witness. I'm a living witness to that.
That's good. Let's get practical now. As we kind of close off, just some like practical things. Like, that was very practical what you just did right there. And maybe just taking that a little bit further. A young adult who's maybe on the fence about something, making a decision. What are some practical ways that we can maybe make a decision with having a little bit of peace and confidence to stepping into a decision that they're making right now at this moment, if they're in the kind of transition season, figuring out where to go, where to move, what to study, those sort of things?
I want to bring up like a conversation I had with Joey Q the other day.
Shout out Joey
'cause
Q.
Joey Q.
He brought up the word commitment and my ears like went up because I knew we were going to talk about this today. But he was sharing with me a part of his testimony, and he said, I didn't have a problem with commitment growing up. Like, once I made a decision about something, I ran with it. Like, I was all in.
He probably literally ran.
He literally did run with it. But he said, I didn't have a problem with commitment. I had a problem with crisis. He had so much crisis come up in his life that what could have been a healthy outlet for him with the crisis ended up turning into an overcommitment to that outlet. So he completely overcommitted to something, meaning he like burned himself out, he injured himself, and he became disgusted with that outlet, even though it could have been healthy. So maybe somebody listening is like, well, I mean, I don't have a problem with commitment. Like I commit to a lot of things all the time. And I think another side of it is the issue of saying yes to a lot of things because we want to, like going back to that. It's a good desire, like to want to do things and want to be there for everybody. But some practical steps to obtaining that peace in being okay with making one decision at a time and not 100 would be to look at your capacity, to think about, sit down, think about what is my capacity right now with the stuff that I already have on my plate. How much more can I possibly give? How much is going to require me of this thing? And then you mentioned this earlier, I think, about control. Ask yourself, am I willing to let go of control? Because if I step into this thing, there's a chance that I'm not going to have full control in a lot of things. And am I going to want to back out at that moment and just leave? Or am I going to see it through until it, gets better? But I think a lot of our anxiousness about making decisions is that control and saying yes to too many things and overwhelming ourselves.
There's a book I just read called The One Thing, where the idea is figuring out what's the one thing that you need to focus on right now. And this is just like a paragraph from it that was incredible. You may not like it. It's about Apple. Just kidding.
I like Apple
I'm just
stuff.
joking. But it says this, because you said be careful what you say yes to. Overcommitment it could be dangerous, right? Every time you say yes to something, you say no to something else. But this is talking about Steve Jobs. He was famously as proud of the products he didn't pursue as he was of the transformative products Apple created. In the 2 years after his return in 1997, he took the company from 350 products to 10. That's 340 no's.
Yeah.
And so I love that. Like, one, you're simplifying a little bit to where, like, the more we say yes to, then we start to feel overwhelmed, and then we're overcommitted, and that brings even more anxiety than when we have to make a decision. And one thing, I did a session for the interns one time of do this in your 20s and 30s to thrive in your 40s and 50s.
Well, that's good. What did you say?
Well, I was about to say one.
Oh.
I might say all of them right now, but one of them was get off the fence, right? We're talking about like I'm on the fence on this thing. Like, just get off of it.
Yeah.
Like take the information that you have, and it's probably not the information that you want. Like, you don't
Make a
have all the
decision.
details yet, and just make a decision, right? And then trust God in that decision. And as long as it's not a sinful decision, now you're walking in faithfulness to Him and obedience towards Him, and you can honor Him in that. And the
That's
example
good.
I always bring up is like when BT interviewed me to come back from from church planting in New York. I truly feel like if we decided to stay, we could have still honored God. Like, I think God was presenting two options and saying, you can honor me in either one of these, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have all the details. We didn't know what was going to happen, right? All that stuff. And I feel like if we would have stayed, God could still been honored by way of us continuing the church plan and living in faithfulness to Him. If we, ultimately decided to move here, God's still going to be honored. God's still going to be glorified as we continue to try to live in obedience towards Him. But just take the information that you do have and then make a decision. And I think secondly is don't make a decision in isolation. Like, get faithful people involved. Have them pray over you. Hopefully they can bring some affirmation to that decision that you have to make, especially if it's a major decision. You don't have to make that decision by yourself. A phrase that we say at Young Adults all the time now is we want to journey with you. And so don't try to journey that by
That's
yourself.
good.
So that just people can at least pray with you on that.
Yeah. Practically, I would say, if you're a young adult, find something that you can finish. Find something that you can finish.
That's good.
I don't care if it's nothing but if it's one of those master classes that they, the Franklins do that pops up on my Instagram. He teaching you how to make a brisket. He's got like 3 modules to teach you how to, but find something that you can finish.
Yeah.
It might be your degree. It might be your degree. It may be a photography class. But when you stack those little victories,
That's good.
it builds in you an endurance. And so one of the things that we don't understand about commitment is development.
That's good.
When you are committed, you are actually being developed for probably what you asking God for that you not ready for yet.
Good, man.
You know, so that's what I would say. Find something you can finish.
I love that. That's good. Let's end on that note. Man, that was incredible. Find something you can finish. Start stacking up those little wins, and it'll just help you be more confident as you continue to pursue things that God's calling you to commit to. I got a text from Ben. He said I won the draft, and so I just wanted to point that out.
What?
So sorry, guys. Cut.
That's whack.
Thank you, Cut.
We need better voters.
It's literally your husband. Episode 46. Thank you guys for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Man, missed y'all. Missed our viewers and our listeners, but also missed hanging out with you guys and chatting it up. So this was fantastic. We'll be back soon. Love you guys so much. See you later, Paper Room.
Yes.